What's going on, everybody? This is BroncoJuggalo, and I have decided to do a video today that I was not planning on doing, and I have to do it quickly because I'm running out of time before I have to get back to work. And I'm going to try and get this all done in one take so that way I don't have to do a lot of editing because I want to get it up as soon as possible. Plus, I have some other things. Basically, the message here is I'm running out of time. I have them all written down because I don't have them physically with me. The reason I wanted to do this video, like I said, I haven't really participated in these yet. I mean, they've only done one, but I haven't really participated in these yet because I told them I wasn't going to. First off, you know I do top 10s. That's kind of my thing. I do BroncoJuggalo top 10s. Also, I just have a lot of things going on right now. I have so much going on. I didn't want to put another, challenge on top of it right now. At the moment, I'm very happy doing Slashback as pretty much my only challenge that's, recurring, and I really love doing that. But I just have so much going on, I didn't want to add anything else. But then I started watching today's videos. I started watching people's videos on this subject, which is, by the way, of course, the top 20 of 2020. Today's theme is 80s slashers. This is, of course, created by Horrific Nightmares JM and Joe the Horror Man, my Super Slash brothers, who are amazing. They're awesome guys, and I love them. Go and check out their channels if you don't, for some reason, have them, which I don't see why you wouldn't. I was watching people's videos today, and people can take this how they feel. I'm going to try and say it as nicely as I can. And because all these people are my friends. These are people that I love, and these are people that I really appreciate and I really do like, and I really love their content. I really feel like a lot of people, by either their placement of two particular movies or their exclusion of those two particular movies, I found it to be really off-putting. And I know this is all based on personal preference, but because of how important those two films are to the horror genre and to the slasher genre in particular, I almost found it insulting to the films and to horror and disrespectful. So I hope you'll take that with a grain of salt. I am not trying to be mean to anybody. I'm not trying to be a jerk to anybody. I really found the exclusion of two particular films, and those films are Child's Play and A Nightmare on Elm Street. Especially A Nightmare on Elm Street. Everybody says that the golden age of slashers is the 1980s. The golden age of horror is 1980s. I've never really particularly agreed with that statement. And here is why. In my opinion, and this is my opinion, well, it is a fact too, but my opinion comes in later at the end. In the 1980s, we had gotten so many cookie cutter slasher films. We had gotten so many copycat slasher films of Halloween and especially Friday the 13th that the horror genre was getting extremely watered down. If you don't believe me, ask Rick. He'll tell you all about it. It was also getting very cheap. Big studios had lost interest in horror. They weren't giving horror the budget. They weren't giving them the stars. They weren't giving them the things they needed to really succeed. And that is why we have a lot of very subpar slasher films. Regardless of whether or not I like those films or anybody likes them or loves them or considers them their favorites, a lot of them were very subpar. And that's just a fact. Wes Craven came out with A Nightmare on Elm Street and completely turned the horror franchise back on. If you don't believe me, it's pretty much, historical. I mean, you can look into this. It was A Nightmare on Elm Street that revitalized the slasher genre and the horror genre in particular. It was A Nightmare on Elm Street that brought A-listers back into horror. It brought budgets back into horror. And people can say that's a good thing or a bad thing. In my opinion, it's definitely a good thing because it gets more exposure. Without A Nightmare on Elm Street, we would not have what people call the golden age of horror movies, in my opinion. So to exclude the film from any list, unless you just absolutely hate that movie, how can you exclude A Nightmare on Elm Street from a top 20 list? Or any of the sequels? I mean, I know that this particular challenge, you're only allowed to pick one from the entire franchise. So if, say, Part 3 is your favorite, then that's fine, Part 3. But to exclude A Nightmare on Elm Street in some way, to exclude Freddy Krueger, probably the most popular horror icon of all time, arguably, the horror icon who made Halloween and who made Friday the 13th and who made Nightmare on Elm Street, who made horror household names. Because it wasn't until those movies, until the it wasn't until Nightmare on Elm Street that all of those films became huge phenomenons. They did okay. They did well. They were good within horror fans. But it was a Nightmare on Elm Street that made horror a household name. It was Nightmare on Elm Street that brought horror into the mainstream. And he did it all again in the 90s with Scream. And I find it to be, honestly, very disrespectful to leave that movie off of any top 20 list when you're talking about horror movies. Unless you're not talking about slashers. So, with that being said, I hope you all will forgive me for my bluntness and take what I say with a grain of salt. I know that I have my opinions, and I know that a lot of time people don't like that, but that's just how I feel. That being said, we are going to get into my top 20 list. Coming in at number 20, I have Sleepaway Camp. None really I need to say about that hasn't been said before, and I've already reviewed the film. And I'm going to go through these kind of quickly because, like I said, I'm running out of time. Coming in at number 19, we have Stage Fright. Awesome film that I discovered last year that I really did like. In fact, a few of these were first-time watches that I found doing the Slashback Challenge. Coming in at number 18, and yes, I have them all written down just because I don't have them with me. Coming in at number 18, I have Slaughterhouse. A recent review from myself and Bill that I just loved that movie. It was so much fun. Coming in at number 17 is one of my favorite horror films of all time, even though it's a terrible movie. And that is Return to Horror High. This was a high school classic that my friends and I watched, rented, and just made fun of so much that I love it now. Coming in at number 16 is Maniac Cop. Tom Atkins' best horror film. Sorry, that's how I feel about it. Coming in at number 15 is Absurd. I loved that movie. I had a blast with Absurd. Coming in at number 14 is Silent Rage, Chuck Norris's slasher film. Love that movie. Coming in at number 13, we have Pieces. I had a blast with Pieces. It was so goofy, so much fun. Not technically a very good film, but just an awesome movie. Coming in at number 12 is also another recent first-time watch, and that is a Christmas movie, Silent Night, Bloody Night. This movie just flipped my wig and blew me backwards, and it still has me reeling. Coming in at number 11, we have Silent Night, Deadly Night. I did really enjoy this movie. It's not the best made Christmas horror film in my opinion, but that is, like I said, just my opinion. Coming in at number 10, we have Slaughter High. Go Marty, go Marty, go. Coming in at number 9, we have what I consider to be one of the most underrated sequels of all time, and that is Psycho 2. That movie is fucking phenomenal. Coming in at number 8, we have Maniac. Maniac. Love Maniac. I think Jay was spot on in what he said. I got what he meant by he found it insulting that people call it a slasher. Yeah, I get what you mean. I wouldn't have worded it that way, but I get what you mean. But then again, I say things all the time that people don't like. In fact, probably in this video. I wonder how many thumbs downs I'm going to get. Or how many of my friends tell me I'm full of shit and get pissed off at me. Coming in at number 7 is My Bloody Valentine, a movie that a lot of people say has pacing issues, and I was really surprised to find it on their lists, especially with the exclusion of A Nightmare on Elm Street and fucking Child's Play. Which, by the way, Child's Play revolutionized slashers. Child's Play gave us an entirely new type of slasher that we hadn't had before. And its exclusion is a travesty, and a travesty of justice. I didn't mean to say travesty twice, but I did. Anyways, My Bloody Valentine, number 7. I can't believe that people think that this movie has pacing issues and that it's slow and unboring. I just love it. I think it's great. Number 6 is Christmas Evil, my favorite Christmas slasher. Just love that movie. Number 5 is Madhouse. I fucking loved Madhouse. When I watched it earlier last year for the Slashback Challenge, I fucking fell in love, and I had to get it as soon as possible. Now, here is where things get interesting. Coming in at number 4 is Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. I noticed a lot of people use Part 2. Why? Baghead Jason sucks. And Friday the 13th Part 6 is honestly, in my opinion, like the ultimate 80s slasher. It's the 80s slasher that kind of envelops everything about the 80s. And I think that's really cool. Encompasses. That's the word I was looking for. Coming in at number 3 is the aforementioned Child's Play. This movie should be on everybody's top 20, regardless. One of the greatest films in horror ever made. Period. Don't like it? There's the thumbs down button right down there. Coming in at number 2 is Halloween 2. Also another film I can't believe that a lot of people say has pacing issues. Especially when so many people put it on their top 20 lists, but yet all I hear is people talk crap about it. You know, it really kind of irks me, but whatever. I love Halloween 2. It's an amazing film. It's one of my favorite horror films of all time. If this would have been 90 slashers, it would have been Halloween 6 right there, but it's Halloween 2. So, coming in at number 1 is, of course, the also aforementioned A Nightmare on Elm Street. My second favorite horror movie of all time. But regardless of the fact whether it's my favorite or not, what this movie did for the horror genre, for movies and cinema in general, this movie saved a studio. They don't call New Line the house that Freddy built for no reason. What it did for horror can never be denied. Anybody who tries to take that away from it, in my opinion, is flat out wrong. Anyways, that's my top 20, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. And for all those of you that are mad at me now, I'm sorry. This is BroncoJuggalo saying peace.
These bitches got me fucked up. Yeah. Put a hole in your chest, the size of fucking dump trucks. Damn. Guess you out of luck, punk. That's right. Machete through your arteries, let's see how quick the blood pump. Oh, since we talking about blood, check my gloves though. OJ would be proud, ain't no love, ho. Nope. Don't stop, keep swinging, let that